Good day, everyone. Hopefully, everyone is doing well. My name is Mustafa,
Hey guys, my name is Van.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shanice.
and today's topic of conversation is going to be primates' pecking order. I'd like to begin the discussion by talking to you guys about ring-tailed lemurs. Hopefully, you guys are aware of King Julian from Madagascar. I'll begin by discussing with you guys the scientific classification, where it's going to be going from the kingdom of Animalia, class of Mammalia. You got the order primates. Their suborder is Strepsirrhini, and their family is the Lemuridae. Now I'm going to discuss with you guys the suborders. There's two different suborders within the primate classification. One would be Strepsirrhini, and the other one is Haplorhini. The Strepsirrhini have a moist, largely hairless nose, as you can see by the depiction by all of the little animals within this little box at the top corner. And then you're going to be seeing at the bottom, which would be the Haplorhini. They do not have wet noses. The Strepsirrhini, they have traits shared with dogs, cats, and other mammals that have a good sense of smell. Now, most of the ring-tailed lemurs are located in Madagascar. Now, here are some interesting facts about ring-tailed lemurs. One would be ring-tailed lemurs can get as big as normal-sized house cats. They are herbivores, which they only eat things like fruits, leaves, tree bark, and sap. Each ring-tailed lemur has exactly 13 alternating black and white bands on its tail. So you do have generally an understanding of what the ring-tailed lemurs bands look like on their tails. So here in this image, you also see them in a little group that scientists call troops. Ring-tailed lemurs are usually in troops of 6 to 30, averaging out about 17 members per troop. And usually, a dominant female would be the leader of the troop. Now, here's something very interesting. I titled this slide, Something Smelly. Ring-tailed lemurs use their scent for almost anything when it comes to communication. They use their scent glands to secrete a unique odor that allows any animal that can smell to know that they are within the regions. They use their scent as a weapon or even a way of asserting dominance within the troop. So that's where the assertion of dominance when it comes to the females in the group, they tend to show their dominance based off of their unique odors. Now we move on to the biggest threats that the species of ring-tailed lemurs face. The primary threats ring-tailed lemurs face usually would be the destruction of their natural habitats, deforestation, as well as species exploitation. So the exploitation would be something in the terms of capturing them and taking them home as pets, selling them off in a black market, as well as sending them to zoos. These are the species exploitations that they would be talking about. So we move on to how you guys can help. You guys can help by donating to supportive conservations that help preserve the species. If you have means, please volunteer your time and help conservations in Madagascar or local zoos. You can help by donating to research groups as well. You can also volunteer from home through specific parties that are able to provide a platform for you to do so. Like this source that I have linked at the bottom, these guys actually have an option for you guys to work from home, which is really cool in my opinion, especially knowing our age and technology. We'd be able to put in our efforts to help preserve a species that are not directly endangered, but definitely on the uprising. We want to be sure to help them as much as we possibly can to preserve our world's natural life. I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Van then. You guys have a good one.
Thanks, Mustafa. From here, we're going to start talking about monkeys. Okay, basically, monkeys are divided into two different categories, one being New World monkeys or ceboids, and one being Old World monkeys or cercopithecus. Ceboids are typically found in Central and South America, whereas Old World monkeys are found in Asia and Africa. One easy way to remember this is that ceboids, or New World monkeys, have one O in the name ceboid and one O in New World. Cercopithecus, or Old World monkeys, have two O's in the word cercopithecus and two O's in Old World. Ceboids are monkeys that mainly live in trees, and because of that, they are often smaller in body size and lighter than terrestrial or land-dwelling monkeys, or cercopithecus. Another unique evolutionary adaptation of ceboids is their prehensile tail, which is essentially a fifth limb for them to grasp tree branches to provide them extra support in the forest canopy. And here's just a few examples of that, of the prehensile tail and how it's used. This is a capuchin monkey. And here's just a drawing of a prehensile tail. You can notice how dexterous it is and how basically flexible it is to enable it to grip branches. And here's a little short video of golden-bellied capuchins. That's the specific monkeys that we'll be discussing in the rest of this presentation. Okay, golden-bellied capuchins are New World monkeys, and as you saw in the video, they live primarily in the northeastern region of Brazil known as Bahia. And golden-bellied capuchin monkeys get their names from their dark-colored cap of fur on their head and dark sideburns. People thought that this resembled capuchin monks of Europe, and golden-bellied capuchins, or GBCs, get their name from the golden patch of fur on their chests. And here's just a picture that you can see the correlation between the capuchin monks and the golden-bellied capuchin monkeys. Okay, the taxonomy, or that's a fancy word for classification of really any living being, goes as follows. You have the kingdom, the phylum, the class, the order, suborder, infraorder, genus, and species. So you can kind of think of this like, I don't know, if we were talking about automobiles, for instance, kingdom may be automobile, right? Phylum may be whether it's a car or a truck or an SUV. Class may be the make, order may be the model, suborder may be any kind of aftermarket additions put on to the car, and so on and so forth. Okay, the ecological niche as well as the ecological importance of golden-bellied capuchins are as follows. They're important to their ecosystem in that they're an umbrella species, and basically what that means is that by protecting the habitat of golden-bellied capuchin monkeys, you would also be protecting the habitats of a slew of other animals that live in those type of conditions. Additionally, they're vitally important as seed dispersers, as they're one of the largest fruit-eating mammals in the region. And what that means is as they consume fruits and nuts and berries and all that, they're spreading those seeds through their, from their poop, essentially, and enabling other plants of that variety to grow and spread and disperse throughout the region. And lastly, they feed on invasive fruit species as well. So that's good in the sense that fruit species that have been brought into the region and have kind of taken over and are killing off some of the natural species are kind of kept in check by the golden-bellied capuchins. Okay, much like any other primate species, golden capuchins are highly social animals. They typically live in groups of 6 to 40 individuals. They're diurnal, which means that they're daytime eating. They're also omnivores that eat both fruits and insects, thus making them frugivores as well as insectivores. Capuchin monkeys also have highly cognitive problem-solving abilities, and recently were actually observed in the wild using rocks, 2 rocks. One is kind of an anvil and one is a hammer to break open nuts. Okay, golden-bellied capuchins at this time are considered critically endangered. That's just one level below extinct in the wild, but living in captivity, and 2 levels below utterly extinct. In the last 50 years, the capuchin population has fallen by 80%. So to put that in perspective, imagine 8 out of 10 people in the world disappeared in the span of 50 years. And some of the threats that pertain to capuchin monkeys in general, as well as golden bellies, are the main threats are deforestation/fragmentation, hunting, and sale as pets. And in the Bahia region of Brazil, 83.4% of forest fragments are less than 50 hectares. And we'll get into forest fragmentation in the next slide. Okay, so this is just a graphic of forest fragmentation on the left and deforestation on the right. Essentially, deforestation is the widespread removal of all trees, leaving the surrounding landscape completely bare, whereas fragmentation is removal of portions of the forest, leaving vast open tracts of land in between forested areas. Now, this is key because, as I stated earlier, golden-bellied capuchins live primarily in the trees. They're really not evolutionarily suited for long periods of time on land. So sometimes crossing these vast expanses of open terrain is detrimental to their survival and reproduction. Okay, and as I discussed trafficking, it's important to note here, this is some screenshots from a website I went on where you could actually purchase capuchin monkeys. I will caveat that with these are all, at least on this website, are all monkeys that were bred in captivity either from other pet owners breeding them to sell as pets or from zoos. So typically the monkeys sold on the market are captive monkeys that have been bred. However, there are instances of wild capuchins being trapped and sold on the black market. Okay, so given how critically endangered golden-bellied capuchins are, let's talk about some ways that we and governments can help to protect them. At the government level, Brazil has established 3 large protected reserves for golden-bellied capuchins in Brazil. However, the largest one, Una Biological Reserve, only has about 185 golden-bellied capuchins. So while this is an important measure to take, it's definitely not the fix-all for the problem. Another way of protecting the golden-bellied capuchins is ending or reducing hunting and trafficking of golden-bellied capuchins. It is important to note that there are indigenous groups in Brazil that have been hunting golden-bellied capuchins as well as other species of monkeys for thousands of years. And not only is it an important food source for these people, but they're also important culturally to these culture groups. That being said, hunting of capuchins outside of these culture groups should probably be banned. Okay, and then as well, reducing the consumption of palm oil or sourcing sustainable sources of palm oil would go a long way. There are currently growing palm oil plantations in Brazil, and there's some evidence that this could be a good thing for the rainforest. However, as Malaysia and Indonesia have shown, the vast tracts of palm oil are highly disruptive to the natural landscape. And as consumers, we can use apps such as Palm Smart and stuff like that to find out what ingredients are in the products we're buying that may actually have palm oil in them, even if it doesn't say so on the label. as well as it'll let you know if the palm oil that is used in those ingredients are sustainably sourced. And lastly, targeted agroforestry has been shown to possibly be a viable answer to this problem, and we'll talk about that a little more in the next slide. Okay, in a nutshell, agroforestry is the incorporation of tree crops into either conventional farming practices or just solely tree crops as cash crops. And agroforestry in Brazil could be beneficial in that it offers farmers in Brazil an alternative to the highly detrimental practice of cattle ranching in the Amazon. And this is detrimental in a couple ways. First of all, when the land is cleared for grazing, it is exposed to the conditions of sunlight and all that, which can basically turn what used to be a jungle into a virtual desert after, a period of a couple decades even. Additionally, it breaks up tracts of land, which break up the roaming ranges of capuchin monkeys as well as other species in the rainforest. And it's been shown that incorporating a wide range of tree crops, which some of these are more profitable than the cattle ranching that is so prevalent in this region, can put land that's already been cleared to good use, as well as helping to prevent more land from being cleared for ranching. The thought there is if farmers are making more money growing tree crops, then there's no incentive for them to clear land for ranching. And then agroforestry would also provide golden-bellied capuchins with a suitable arboreal habitat or tree habitat and plenty of food resources. And there's actually a little bit of traction for this happening in Brazil right now. There's a recent study that was published in 2018 that found that Brazilian farmers in and around Bahia, of them, 55% stated they would like to incorporate intercrop woody perennials, which is just a fancy word for tree crops, nuts, whatever trees, whatever crops are grown in these trees. And these are my sources used for this presentation. I hope you enjoyed learning about golden-bellied capuchins. Now I'm going to pass it off to Shanice, who's going to teach us about bonobos.
Thanks, Van. Next, we will be talking about bonobos. They are found in the Dominican Republic of Congo, and they live in the swampy rainforest areas south of the Zaire River. They mainly eat fruits, insects, honey, eggs, and soil. Okay, so this is their taxonomy classification. They are in the Animalia kingdom, Chordata phylum, Mammalia class, Primate order, Hominidae family, Pangenus, and the bonobo species. There are different types of primates. Bonobos are what you call haplorhides. They often get confused with chimpanzees due to their similar features, although there's some distinct features that makes them very different from each other. For example, chimps are led by the alpha male and will maintain order through aggression, while bonobos are led by the females and maintain order through sex. Chimps also have brown lips and their face changes color as they age. Bonobos have pink lips and their faces are black. They are the closest ape that are related to humans. We share 98.5% of the same DNA. The females in the group are held to higher ranks and will gain power through strong bonds and alliances. As previously stated, bonobos keep peace through sex, so they use it as a way of saying make peace, not war. It's to solve any problems or negotiations within a group. For further discussion of the natural habitat of bonobos, attached is a clip of a wonderful video that greatly explains their natural habits. Bonobos are on the brink of extinction, and they face a lot of threats to their habitat. Those threats include poaching, which is the illegal hunting of an animal, and civil unrest. As we come into direct contact with bonobos, even unintentionally, we have a greater chance of spreading any kind of diseases to them. One of their greatest threats is bushmeat hunting. They're being hunted for human consumption as well as being sold for profit. When we cut down and burn the trees in the forest, it contributes to the destruction of the bonobo habitat. It also allows for hunters to come into previously inaccessible areas to contribute to bushmeat hunting. One thing that really damaged their habitat and population was the Congo War that ended in 2003. After the war ended, many bonobos disappeared, causing the surviving groups to have less than half the members they originally had. There are many ways that we can help to save the bonobos. There is a group that focuses solely on helping them. They are the Bonobo Conservation Initiative. We can help by donating any money or stocks to this group, and if possible, even joining this group on their further research and projects. You can also sponsor bonobos to directly support their protection. A lot of people are on social media, so a great way to spread the awareness is through these platforms. Even children can learn about bonobos and how to protect them. It's best to learn about their natural habitat and what they need to survive. We could also create more groups and more projects that will make protecting them more effective. It's also really important to understand the effects of them going extinct. Most of the trees and plants in their region rely on them for seed dispersal. Without them, the plants and trees that rely on them may also go extinct. And that is the end of this presentation. Thank you so much for listening.